Just a heads up, there is no video for this episode because the guest wasn't comfortable with video, so it's audio only. Also, this episode is not meant for young ears. Listener discretion advised. Hello, welcome to another episode of Real With It, and today we have a very special guest with us, Mia J. Hanks. Hi, how are you today, Mia? Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, tell the viewers a little bit about your story, and I guess one more time, I did this in the intro too. One more time before we get into it. It's not made for young ears, so if you have kids in the car, you may want to turn this one off or put headphones in. How was your story? And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm Mia Hanks, and I'm a survivor of narcissistic abuse. I was married to a covert narcissist for 29 years, and about a little over a year ago, I got out of that marriage, and I wrote a book, a memoir, about my experiences, and I went on to win an award. It's called Bridemaid, a Memoir, and I'm just hoping to spread awareness about narcissism and help other victims out there find their voices. If they're trapped in one of these relationships, they can get out as well.
How did you guys meet, if you're comfortable?
Yeah, we met in college and we dated for about 2 years and got married. I was 21 when we got married, and so I was very young and naive. And as I always say, back 3 decades ago, no one was talking about narcissism. And so it wasn't anything that I was made aware of or was on the lookout for, really. And I just kind of fell into this relationship and ended up married at 21.
What attracted you to him?
He was definitely the one who pursued me, and he was good with the whole love bombing thing. It made me feel like I was really important and just showered me with gifts and attention. And I thought, how could this be wrong? How could there be any problem with this? This is too good to be true. And so I fell for it, and not realizing that's a tactic that narcissists will use to reel you in. And it doesn't begin abusively. They don't begin abusing you right off the bat. And so, yeah, I just kind of fell into that and fell for that love bombing.
Now I'm going to go to the questions on your Podmatch profile. I don't usually like to make it all Podmatch questions, but this is just such a sensitive topic that I'm just going to read the questions off, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Explain the difference between narcissism and covert narcissism.
Yeah, so is a term that's overused. We use it way too much. And we want to call people who are really arrogant or really pompous, really overconfident, we call them narcissists. But that's not the case at all. So narcissists, if you have that personality disorder, it is an actual disorder. These people they can appear very overconfident, pompous, arrogant. They tend to think people are jealous of them, sometimes tend to be a little paranoid. They think they are just the most important person in the room, and they deserve just an unending supply of praise and adoration. However, covert narcissist, to the outside world, they present as anything but a narcissist. So my ex-husband, for example, everyone outside of our home, he seemed kind, very compassionate, empathetic, generous, the all-around perfect husband, perfect father. He was not that way behind closed doors. And so with a covert narcissist, it's very difficult for the victim because it's hard to get people to believe you. When you go and say, well, actually, he's abusive. No one wants to believe that because they've only seen this wonderful side. So it's a real, just like it says, covert and very sneaky. And the covert narcissist is really considered to be one of the most dangerous types of narcissists.
This is not a Podmatch question, but I'm just wondering, did people believe you when you first told them?
It was interesting because what happened was when I left this marriage, narcissists will often do something called a smear campaign. And so they're all about protecting their own image, protecting their own reputation. As soon as I left and he realized I was not coming back, he launched the smear campaign where he's out talking to everybody that we ever knew, basically, and painting himself as the victim. And, oh, woe is me, she left me, whatever, she's horrible. And so he really got to everybody before I had a chance to. It seems that everybody, yeah, pretty much everybody has believed his story. I really didn't get a chance to tell my story before he gathered up these people in his own little army of support. So I don't know. It seems to me that probably if I told people we knew jointly, if I told them my story, probably they wouldn't believe me. He's pretty convincing. And that's part of that whole covert narcissism.
I'm sorry to hear that, but you have like friends now?
I do, I have a few, but I found that since leaving, I went through a lot of therapy, and I found that I'm very cautious about who I let in my inner circle. I tend to not trust people, and that's just coming out of this 29 years of abuse. You don't know who you can trust anymore. You feel very betrayed, and very betrayed by all the friends that I thought I had that are now thinking he's the victim. So yeah, I do have friends, but I keep my circle small, and that's okay. Yeah.
This is a much question. What are the red flags if you suspect someone's a narcissist?
Yeah, I think generally, if you look at that whole question of empathy, do they truly care when you're sick, when you're hurting? Do they care about you? Or is it, in my case, my ex-husband, if I was ever sick or anything, he would, instead of being compassionate, he would be angry with me because it just disrupted his day. Pay attention to if they really care about people, look at how they treat others. And another thing I would say is really examine how that person makes you feel about you. Narcissists like to kind of chip away at you little by little, destroying your confidence and making you feel not good enough. If you're having these feelings, definitely it's a red flag to look for.
Just for me, how do you know if it's just somebody like making a mistake? And how do you know if it's like if they're truly trying to string you along, I guess?
Sometimes it's hard to tell, but I think it really does go back to that at their core, do they really care? And narcissists can fake it pretty well. But if you really pay attention, you really look and ask yourself, does this person really care about me? Or is it all for them? Are they making it seem like they care so that I will be dependent on them? Narcissists want to make you dependent on them for everything. Do they feel confident enough in the relationship to give you space and to let you have friends and let you have a life? Or are they demanding 100% of you?
Hi, I'm Doug Katz, inventor of the Nulu kitchen knife. The Nulu is uniquely shaped to work in harmony with the human body, greatly reducing the strain on muscles and joints common with traditional knives. Not only is the Nulu ergonomic, it's incredibly versatile. This knife is the kitchen MVP. Visit us at nuluknives.com, that's N-U-L-U knives.com, to see this extraordinary knife in action and understand why we say Nulu is the knife that adapts to you.
Visit nuluknives.com and enter code WheelWithIt-Nulu at checkout. Before we get back to the conversation, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. On whatever podcast app you're listening on right now, just hit the subscribe or follow button. And if there's a bell icon, tap that too so you get notified when new episodes drop. You can also subscribe to my Substack newsletter for updates about important disability policy at both the state and federal levels, and deeper dives into the topics we talk about on the show at wheelwithit.com/Substack. And if you want to follow both me and the podcast on social media, you can find all the links in one place at wheelwithit.com/follow us. Now, let's get back to the conversation. Okay, that was helpful. Honestly, for me. What are some tips when you are ready to leave a narcissist?
I think the first tip I would tell anyone who is considering leaving is plan ahead. You're not leaving a neurotypical person. And this is someone who, when they are denied, when they are told no, narcissists don't handle that well. And they can become volatile. When things aren't going their way, that's when they get angry. And a big thing I like to tell people is if you are thinking of leaving, the first thing you need to do is start setting aside money. It sounds very basic, but it's so important. In my case, when I left, one of the first things my ex-husband did was drain that bank account so that I couldn't have funds. And that's one way that narcissists like to control you is through finances. So most definitely start setting aside money, set up a support group. It doesn't have to be a whole bunch of people. It can just be a couple of people, but set up somebody who can be in your corner and identify where you're going to go. And really take some time to plan this out before you jump up and leave.
And for people with disabilities, that's hard because if you have over $2,000, which is nothing in savings, then you lose your services and it puts you in a tougher situation. So what I would say to them is make sure you have an Able Now account set up because Able Now accounts are exempt from being counted as assets or savings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. So
yeah,
that's an
make
account
sure
that you could put some money into on a regular basis, just bit by
Yeah.
bit, and build up some savings in that account that's exempt. Yes, definitely.
Now, if you're on SSI, you can only put up to $100,000 in it, at least in Virginia. Almost might be different, but I would venture to say that the other states are going to be more stringent.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The limit is $500,000, but it's not a legal limit. That's how much the Able Now can hold at this point. So it's more of like a logistic limit, I would say. But
Yeah, those things are really important because in any way that the narcissist has to control you, they'll take it. And finances is a huge thing. Financial abuse is a real thing that people need to be aware of. And if you don't have your own income coming in, you do need to work on setting aside some money in order to be able to leave.
yeah, so there's a little tip. You can just Google Able Now in your state and it'll get you started. So, what ultimately made you decide to leave?
It really came down to my physical health. The stress that I was living under and that constant state of fight or flight was having an impact on my physical body. And I think sometimes we don't realize how badly stress can impact us. I was suffering from chronic pain, constant headaches and stomach aches. I felt sick every single day. And it just got to a point where it did not feel sustainable anymore. I just thought I cannot live with this much pain and just this level of tension and stress all the time. And it just came down to me realizing something has to change. I can't live like this anymore. So I think I stuck with it as long as I physically could. And I just had to make a break.
So, how did it affect you physically?
Definitely just this chronic pain that I dealt with. And I felt nauseous all the time. And it was just that stress. I was just on edge all the time. And our bodies just aren't made to deal with continual stress. It was just such a tense environment where I never felt like I could relax around him. Your body really listens to and reacts to that, not being able to relax and not having that release. And so, yeah, everything was so tense and all the time. And it really led to a lot of chronic pain and headaches, and the sleep also. I was very deprived. And that kind of keeps you in a fog. And it's just the combination is disastrous.
So, why do people stay in abusive relationships for so long?
A lot of reasons, but the financial abuse is huge. And the other thing, I think there's an element of embarrassment, right? At least for me, with my husband being a covert narcissist, he's out there making himself look great, and I'm right behind him perpetuating this lie and saying, yeah, he's great and everything's great, because I think we want people to think we have it together. We want people to think that our life is good, even when it's not. And so there's an embarrassment factor to having to step back and say, well, actually, I don't have it together. And actually, my life is a mess and I'm not happy and I'm living with this abuse. It's also embarrassing to have to admit that you've allowed that behavior. You've allowed someone to treat you like that for so long. So I think for some women especially, they think the easier route is just to stay. And there's also fear. There's fear of how the narcissist is going to react if you leave. There are a lot of reasons why people stay, and it's sad to think, but I think a lot of women get stuck in these marriages, relationships, and they can't find a way out.
What are some tips for beginning a healing journey after you've left?
I think finding a therapist, if that's financially possible, it can be pricey, but if you can afford to find a good therapist that can help you, it's not a miracle cure and it's not going to fix everything overnight, but I think working with a therapist it's a good starting point to say the groundwork for beginning this healing journey. And I think be patient with yourself because everyone's on a different timeline. In the healing journey, maybe it never ends. Maybe you're always going to be healing in some respects forever, and that's okay. But I think be patient and really practice self-care and take care of yourself. If you've been with a narcissist, you probably have not been taking care of yourself because quite honestly, there's no time for you. It's all about them. You're taking care of them. You're tending to their needs, and you've probably been neglecting yourself. So I think part of healing, find someone to talk to, whether it be a therapist or a friend. Really concentrate on self-care and just be patient with yourself.
That's great. Anything you would like to add before we get off here?
Yeah, I think I just want to tell people if you're in one of these relationships and you feel stuck, it's easy to feel stuck and it seems really daunting to think about leaving, but you absolutely can get out. There are resources, there's help available, and as scary as it might seem, you really can get out and you can find a much better life outside of this abuse.
Where can people keep up with you and follow you on social media?
Yeah, I have a website, miajhanks.com, and you can find me there, lots of info. And my book is called Bridemaid. It's available anywhere online books are sold, Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com. And it's available in ebook format and paperback. And then on TikTok, find me on TikTok at NPDandme.
Okay, that is amazing. We'll have all those links in the show notes. And thank you for being here. I promise you we will have a more fun episode next week. We will see you guys next episode. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get notified when we upload new episodes. Leave a comment and let us know what you think. Also, give this video a thumbs up. Remember to follow our guests and the show on social media using the links in the description. We'll see you next time.